Welcome in, everybody. This is Too Much Movie Night. Follow along while we go back in time through our favorite movie night movies and see how well they hold up. I'm one of your three co-hosts, Brian. Beside me, I've got JJ,
Mr. Man,
and Steve.
I'm going to put on my Liberace records.
Together each week, we'll spin our wheel to see which movie we'll be viewing. At the end of the pod, we'll rate our movie on our Too Much meter. We'll keep track of which movies hold up to be the best movie night movies. Thanks for listening in, and give us a follow to keep up with our weekly episodes. Well, welcome in, Mr. Man. We have
Mr.
another
Man.
episode of Too Much Movie Nights. Thank you, everybody, for coming back to us for another week. If this is your first episode, oh, you've got a fun one. Guys, JJ, Steve, how we doing?
Oh, you know, when we were setting this up earlier, right, here's this, and you were like fucking swapping us around because it just didn't look right to you. Well, what it made me feel like is like when we go to out to eat at a restaurant, and I always have to sit on my own side of the fucking booth because
Nobody wants to fight your ass with elbows.
it's like I take up too much space. So we're gonna get you two skinny guys on one side of the booth and me on my own side of the fucking booth over here.
Okay, well, let's look at it this way. You flap those fucking wings, and I'm going to blow away.
Oh, the misery, JJ.
Hell, I had that issue with JJ all the time back in college. Him being a lefty, me being a righty. We'd sit down, look at each other. Nope, swap seats.
Nope, swap.
Southpaw for
It was
life.
weird. Out of our friend group of four, I was the only right-handed one. John, Wolfgang, and JJ were all lefties.
That's right.
Nice.
I forgot about that.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the odd duck on that one.
That's kind of weird. I'm surprised like the nuns didn't beat the left hand out of you. It's the devil's hand. You can't use that.
I grew up Church of Christ, not Catholic, so
I
I
got
lucky
you.
on that one.
Well, everybody, you are in for a treat. We've got a 90s movie, and not your typical 90s movies. I'm not going to lie. I choked on my... I didn't choke. I pandered a little bit, went the direction that I didn't think I was going to go, but I pulled out Misery. This is a Stephen King movie. We got Rob Reiner directing. We're in for a treat. But this is... So I think thrillers are one of my favorite movie genres, and I think this was one of those movies growing up that really, like... It sunk me into it. It was one of the first ones I saw. It wasn't too much. Horror movies are a little much for me, but I love jumping into... I loved being a part of this movie when I was growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were really stretching it with a 90s movie, this being a 1990. Yeah, so we talk 90s movies. Well, okay, fine. Yeah, definitely a 90s. It is a 90s movie, but yeah, this was definitely stretching it with that. But still a solid pick, right? I think it's still a solid pick with that stuff. So, yeah.
I definitely enjoyed it as... probably saw it somewhere in high school, but seen it many times. Enjoyed it. Kathy Bates was... She was incredible. Acted her heart out in this movie. Might be one of the best acting performances we've seen in these Too Much movies we've done. But JJ, tell me, was this your first viewing?
So yeah,
your
no,
first interaction with this movie?
I've seen like bits and pieces of this movie throughout the years, but I've never actually watched the whole movie in its entirety. Mainly, I'm pretty sure my mother thought Stephen King was the devil growing up, so didn't get to watch any of those.
Church of Christ.
So,
didn't
yeah.
let
Church
Stephen
of
King
Christ,
come in the door.
definitely.
Here we are. But yeah, no, this was my first time like actually watching it, and you know, I will say I was very, very surprised in this movie. Thinking about it, like knowing what the storyline was, I was like, okay, like, come on. But no, I mean, it's...
Did you get the significant other? Did she hop on the couch with you for this one?
For a little bit, yes, but...
By the time we got a broken ankle and she done.
Outie, yeah. So yeah, no, it was a surprising movie. We'll get into the details later, though.
For sure. Steve, enlighten us. Tell us when your first time you checked out this movie.
Oh man, Brian, I think this came out like in November of '90. Is that right? I think it was
they,
like
they treat it as a Christmas movie, as we'll see in the trailer here in a second.
Yeah, right. So November of '90, I was in my freshman year in college, and like overboard and up to my eyeballs and getting yelled at by some coaches and
Don't want to cut you off
teachers.
here, but I feel like we've done a lot of Steve College movies.
That's mostly y'all's picks. I'm just saying, right?
How long did it take you? Did you go full Tommy boy here? Was this a 7-year career in college you're going for?
No, it wasn't quite that, right? So that's crazy. 4.5 year span, but we've covered a lot of movies. There's a lot of movies that happened in this time period. But yeah, this was one of the first ones. But I definitely did not see this at a movie theater. I was a Stephen King fan before this because he had some other kind of other movies, that my dad was really into, and I kind of dug it then. So, but I enjoyed that movie at this time, and I enjoyed it this time as well because I've seen it a number of times also.
Awesome.
Interestingly, though, I just watched this like 3 months ago, just out of a random watch. Yeah, just a random watch of it. And so I was like, all right, cool.
Random awesome movie. Huh?
It really was, yeah. Yeah. Just kind of just like, hey, there's Misery. I want to watch it. So, yeah, which was pretty interesting.
Absolutely. It's I'm in that boat. Somewhere in the last 6 months I've seen it. I remember watching it by myself, so the opportunity to cast this as a vote, and our producer Alyssa hopped on the couch with me, checked it out, and she had a really good time. It was definitely, she was way more engaged than I really thought she was going to be, but she's into some of that gory shit. Yeah. But for all you at home, if you haven't seen Misery, this is James Caan, Kathy Bates. James Caan's a writer. He's going up to Colorado to finish a book, gets trapped in a blizzard. And he's going to be held hostage by Kathy Bates.
Rescued. He was rescued.
Rescued before the hostage. That's right.
And Kathy Bates won the Academy Award for this, right?
I actually didn't.
She won the Best Actress for that year. Oh, yeah.
Her highs, her lows, like it wasn't just when she was angry in this that she was great. It was that giddy little girl, just I loved her in this.
She was fabulous.
She crazy. Well, let's jump into this trailer and get the show kicked off.
Let's do it.
Rob Reiner and Stephen King want to be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas and a safe and sane holiday season. But for novelist Paul Sheldon, it won't be very merry at all. He's spending Christmas in bed.
There is nothing to worry about. You're gonna be just fine. I'm your #1 fan.
I think one of my clients, Paul Sheldon, might be in some kind of trouble.
You mean Paul Sheldon, the writer?
This year,
My name is Annie Wilkes.
#1 fan.
he won't be going to any parties.
Oh, Paul, I've read everything of yours. The Misery novels. I love them so.
He won't be seeing any friends.
They said he checked out last Tuesday. Isn't that a little strange?
Paul, say hello to Misery.
Misery.
Yes, I told you I was your #1 fan.
He won't be spending time with his family.
Paul, forgive me for prattling away and making you feel all oogie.
He'll have only one person to help him through the holidays.
Catch this.
Mwah!
Annie Wilkes.
What a poet you are.
The presumption must now be that Paul Sheldon is dead.
She loves everything he ever wrote,
I'd love to stay here and chat, but I'm right at the end, and I gotta find out what happens.
except this.
You dirty bird. How could you? Misery Chastain cannot be dead. You murdered her!
Whatever you're thinking about doing, please don't do it.
It's for the best.
Misery.
God, I love you.
Famed novelist Paul Sheldon is the author of a successful series of novels featuring a character named Misery Chastain. Wanting to focus on more serious stories, he writes a manuscript for a new novel that will launch his post-Misery career. While traveling from Silver Lake, Colorado, to his home in New York City, Paul is caught in a blizzard and crashes his car, rendering him unconscious. A nurse named Annie Wilkes finds him and brings him to her remote home. So, I don't know if you guys know, I can see you guys during the trailer, like when it goes away from camera, I can still see you guys on camera. And watching y'all's reaction through that, the fact that it was like the Christmas trailer, I don't know if that's what it was, but cracks me up every time being able to see y'all.
That must have been because I was like, a Christmas. That was like,
I know, I was
that,
shocked.
That parumpa-bum-pum. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I was like,
there is zero Christmas in this movie at all, right? So, yeah. So for that to come, just no, right, man. Yeah, that was interesting. So, but I guess it did come out at that time because I think this opened the same time that Home Alone did. And so that kind of made like they were pushing Home Alone, you know, and all that other shit. So it was like, yeah, well, you go see that Christmas movie for your kids and then come see this Christmas movie for.
Right.
I'd be severely pissed if I was like, this is going to be a great Christmas movie. And then like watched it. No.
Yeah, no. But what the hell are you doing driving to the mountains in Colorado in a rear wheel drive Mustang? And knowing that there's going to be some kind of fucking, probably snow or something in the mountains of Colorado in the winter, right?
Well, I mean,
like,
he says like, oh, I didn't know there was going to be a blizzard. It's like, well, dude, there's snow on the road anyway. Like, what the hell?
You can't even see the black of the ground. Like it's at least solid snow for an inch or so.
And didn't Libby at the fucking Silver Creek Lodge tell him, hey, by the way, Paul, there's a blizzard. You may not want to drive in there today, you know. Sorry, folks. Park's closed. Moose out front. I told you that. You know, I'm just it's like fucking.
So,
you don't want to fucking do that.
So watching him driving this gave me immediately like childhood flashbacks. So I had a trip, you know, parents took me skiing one time up in the mountains. Great experience. It was lovely. And we piled in our Honda Odyssey, that sweet little minivan. Not talking shit here, sarcastically. Loved this thing. And we get to the point that we show up and it's sunny as shit. So the whole mountain like thaws out. That night it freezes. So I literally have to go snowboarding 2 days in a row on fucking ice. I shredded my gloves because I kept having to sit and use my gloves to slow down. Like it was the worst. It was fun as shit. Don't get me wrong, but the worst experience of learning how to snowboard on ice. So all of that happened, and then the night we have to leave, it snows. So the next morning we get up. It's me. I've got 2 younger brothers at this point. We all pile in the van, and we're probably driving not 5, 10, 15 minutes. And all of a sudden we
snowed
get
its
to a point.
ass off too.
It was scene out of Misery. There was nothing you could see but snow. And we get to this hill that we've got to get up. And that minivan, a chugga. She gets halfway and she slides back down. My dad, bless his heart, he's given it all he's got. He is going at it. We probably do 2 or 3 times. And at this point, I can feel my mom tensing up. My brothers have no idea, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to watch because the last thing he wants is that pressure of people watching him. So I'm like, I'm just going to focus in on my TV, let him do his thing. And I felt it in his bones. He's like, all right, we're going to give it one more go. Because we kept sliding back, JJ. And I was scared shitless because we weren't close to the edge, but closer than I wanted to be with snow. And he gives it that last little umph, and I don't know what she did, but old Odyssey, she kicked into gear and she got us out of there. But oh boy,
what mountains were we all in for this?
West Virginia.
West Virginia, so not the biggest of mountains, but
they're pretty good.
Pretty good when you get enough snow on it, and you've got a fucking minivan moving.
But dude, there do you remember there were 4-wheel drive vehicles that were off the side of the road, and we were passing them with that front-wheel drive minivan.
We had like a line behind us of people about to attempt this little hill, and then as we got past this hill and started going down, there were trucks left and right, and I was like, you know what? I got my Game Boy here, I got my PS2 hooked up to the van thing. I'm not gonna watch. If we die, we die. But I won't know it. I'm going for that high score.
Yeah, I will say I had flashbacks, similar experience going up to ski. I can't remember if I was in New Mexico or Colorado, but we were going up to ski, and I was in my mom's. This was in high school. I was in my mom's Ford Escape, which later became my Escape. But yeah, there was a couple times where it was like, oh no, we can make it without 4-wheel drive, and then it was like, holy shit, we better put 4-wheel drive on because I'm about to go over this cliff and I don't want to die.
So I dug his ritual, right? We can go back to when I talked about
For sure.
talked about it, right? I dug his little ritual with the the champagne, the Dom Perignon, and
I love that he just let it be.
just like yeah, whatever, the Dom, and then the cigarette and the match. But interesting, I don't know if you guys have ever done this. Have you ever tried to light a match with your thumb?
I was
it doesn't
blown
fucking
away
work.
watching this.
It doesn't work.
I want to learn how to do that though.
Was it a different style match though? Maybe the matches made back then were a little different. But yeah, like watching people in cartoons like rub it off the asphalt, off brick and shit. That's so cool. Like just life goals, bucket list.
But when he did that, like I remember trying that. All I do is ever flick off the shit off the top of the end of the match.
Yeah.
But so interesting. I was like, I slowed that down and I looked. He has something on the end of his thumb. He has like, I don't know if they like taped on fucking sandpaper or something, but his thumb is like, he has something on it to allow him to do that, because then he hides
You're
it.
jumping three
stuff.
segments here.
Man, no, that's the opening scene.
Oh, the first one. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I forget he did
Yeah,
that.
when he fucking goes to light it, and so I was just like, oh man, I was like, that's just fucking cool, And that's I've always wanted to try that. My second question is, why was she fucking giving him CPR? This dude rolled over
She's
in
a
his
nurse,
car.
You're not. What are you talking
He had
about?
fucking like broken legs, and she just pulls him out, doesn't even assess him, and just starts beating on, just like pounding, like pumping his chest. It's like, wait, did he have a fucking heart attack, or why are you giving him CPR? Right? You're trying to fucking
CPR has been redone like 12 times.
That was my thought exactly. It was quickly overshadowed by the fact of, like, just knowing who it was that was carrying him away from the car. The fact that she was carrying him like that, I was like, red flag number one.
Dude, she just.
Yeah,
She
she
fireman
popped him over.
carry, just like, here we go. I'm trucking your ass up this
like-
snowbank right now.
while she's giving him CPR, like, he is getting covered in snow. So you know that shit is coming down. And it's going to be a lot of snow. And she just like, oh, yeah, treks through it, no problem.
I had to look it up too, because I was like, all right, Kathy Bates, she seems like a solid lady. Like, she's probably got to be big. Nah, she's only 5'3".
I was really kind of like worried about her, like just fucking like pressing, just like boo, just chest. Like, what if he has a broken back, or he already has broken ribs, and you're
She's
just
a
puncturing
nurse.
lungs?
She knows what she's doing.
Puncture fucking lungs.
Well, okay,
Top
rule
of
number
her
one, it doesn't
class.
matter. You always check vitals and then administer whatever you need to.
Look, I'm deferring to Kathy Bates on all medical knowledge before you two. So I'm, come on.
That's right. It's been told to me before. I am not a medical professional.
No, not a doctor.
Same. I'm not either, so that's fair. But
So I thought it was an interesting question kind of popped up with me. Like the bigger thought question. When he's talking to his publicist or manager, whatever she is. Just like, I wrote these misery books and I never wanted them to define me. This obviously has given him unworldly fame, tons of money. But it kind of came across like, would you guys be willing to be made or known for your legacy be brought behind on something small and stupid? But would you guys be okay with that if it brought you the fame and money? Or does what you're known for, does that outweigh that fame and money? Because I feel like I'm taking the money. If I'm Judy Blume writing all those books, I'm still taking that notoriety for that shit.
I was like, I'm right there with you. My ego's not that big that I can't fucking. I'm secure enough of my masculinity that I don't need that fucking to define me. What I need to define me is, like she said, you're paid for braces for your daughter, 2 houses, and and whatever, your jet skis. I don't know, but. Yeah, so fucking.
No,
who's this? I'll keep writing the shit out of misery.
dude, I agree. Like, dude, okay, milk that cash cow all you can, and maybe in your off time work on whatever defines you, like, or whatever. If
Who gives a shit?
if you want,
Cash
but yeah,
that
me,
check, man.
I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna write this book. I'm gonna get that money, and meanwhile, we're gonna be vacationing somewhere with, lots of drinks and lots of partying and having a great time, enjoying my wealth.
I don't know if having those drinks out in public. Clearly, his fan base might be a little nuttier than your average fan base. So, I don't know.
Well, okay,
Going to
and
Vegas,
that's
you might disappear or something. Like,
that's where you don't, which I know it's everybody does it when they write books. They put their photo either on like the fold or it's on the back of the book. But now keep that shit off of there. Like,
by the way, the photo on the back of his book was like, just it was like the mouth open, fucking looking up like he was surprised, like got caught off guard, like what? It was like that's a fucking horrible picture.
I was thinking like the Zoolander the whole time, like blue steel coming in clutch here.
It's wild that I always remember that James Caan is a part of Misery. He was in this movie, but I feel like he's way more known for his role in Elf. I actually think he looks better in Elf. Like, there's 10, 12 years difference, and like the dude looks way. I don't know.
He's way more known as Sonny Corleone in fucking The Godfather.
Yes,
for your generation, yeah.
But
on, who
I would like to
now?
say, since you brought it up, Brian, I wasn't going to say anything about it, but since you brought it up, like, is the reason that he's a publisher of children's books in Elf because of what happened to him in Misery?
Maybe that's his, like, he grew up. He's like, I'm not going to write anymore. I'm going to become a publisher and move to, and
met his wife, go to New York,
Met his wife, you never know. Hook up with some chick along the way and here comes Buddy.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
All right, well, let's check out this crazy Kathy Bates, see what she's got up next. Paul regains consciousness and finds himself bedridden with broken legs and a dislocated shoulder. Annie claims to be his #1 fan and constantly praises him and his novels. She offers to care for him until the telephone lines are reconnected and the local roads reopen following the blizzard. Out of gratitude, Paul lets her read his new manuscript. She angrily criticizes the profanity in his new work, disturbing him, but she quickly apologizes. When she reads the latest Misery novel and discovers that Misery dies at the end, she flies into a rage, revealing to Paul that nobody knows where he is, and that she had never informed any kind of authority or his agent, effectively holding him prisoner. Meanwhile, the local sheriff Buster has begun a bit of an investigation into Paul's disappearance with his randy deputy and wife.
Buster is my favorite fucking person in this entire movie.
Buster and Virginia. Virginia, she was awesome. Go ahead.
That horny SOB. I don't want to jump to the end of...
Oh, God, I don't either. She was fucking hilarious, though. I love them, too.
When you're in my car, you're my deputy. Dude, she just wanted some strange. That's all.
Yeah.
ED medicine might not have been at its peak in the early 90s or in 90s. So, like, poor Buster's probably only got a bat every now and then.
But obviously, Buster's still bringing the wood because she's like, she's like, let's roll, bro.
I mean, she's just like, hey, it's cold. Pull this car over. Let's snuggle. And
because this town's got to be like what, maybe a few hundred. This is no big town.
Well,
I
love his. Call. I love his opening line, and she's like, he's like, well, who are you looking for? The chief of police, the chief of
the sheriff,
the sheriff, yeah, whatever.
He's me. Like, I'm everything.
Founder of the pension fund, and I'm also the volunteer. And if you're looking for a fishing guide, you could do worse.
You could.
As soon as he said that, I was like, oh my god, this is JJ. He finds himself a talent, falls into a sheriff badge, and he's just chilling.
Dude, I'm all in. Like,
but the funny thing is, like, Buster seems pretty full of himself. Because he's like, well, just like, we're going to put you up in our system. Sticks that shit up on the wall. Like, that's our system. And he's like, and then we'll call you. So he's like, Buster is pretty full of himself a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, like, come on. Not a lot of exciting things are happening. Like, Virginia, that's when she walks in and she's like, oh, busy day, got a phone call. And he's like, we did. Like, hot damn. Work.
Funny how, like, something popped up, but it's so just, don't worry about it. Like, he doesn't even tell his deputy because he's like, it's no big deal. Like, just brushes it off. I'm good enough without her. But, yeah, love Buster. So I guess we'll jump into the main storyline here.
All right.
I guess, if you want.
You don't get those immediate crazy vibes there from her, but like she's an eccentric fan, right? What were y'all's initial reactions from old Kathy?
She made that phrase of being a fan. Hey, I'm your #1 fan. Hey, I'm a big fan. That book, this fucking movie made that phrase like you just can't say that now, because if you do, you're a creep. Fucking, you're a creeper stalker. You're gonna kidnap them and fucking, you're gonna shoot the president for Jodie Foster type shit, right? This is gonna happen.
Binoculars up in the dashboard at all times. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but initially, no, not creepy, because I was trying to actually like put myself in his place to where like, all right. The roads are cold. The shit's closed. We can't do anything. So I'm just gonna take care of you. You're gonna stay here, chill. Okay, cool. You know what? I can get along with that. I can roll with that, because I think she was legitimate. And he probably thought she was also. I think.
Hearing the words "I'm your number one fan," it's just the flashbacks of in and out of her saying that, and like her head getting closer and further away, and like all of that going on. I was like, I don't like this situation at all. And, but to agree with you, Steve, she is like, oh, the roads are closed. There's no telephone lines. It's like, well, the power's still on. And obviously you're watching TV a time or two, like, yeah, something funky is going on too. So I feel like there were more red flags that were thrown than at the beginning that Paul should have caught on.
Yeah, Paul definitely had a handful more questions that he should have asked. But these painkillers she's shooting down, maybe he's a little groggy. But yeah, like, oh, I went to town, so the roads to town are clear, but the hospital, we're going to wait to make sure the kids can get to school and go get their afternoon candy from the dollar store before we get... Yeah, it's some suspect stuff for sure. Like, flag should have been shooting up, like you said, JJ, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So what y'all are saying is that if I happen to find Jennifer Aniston wrecked on the side of the road, that I shouldn't tell her, hey, I'm a big fan. just bring her into the house and strap her to the bed. I'm gonna take care of you.
Well, she wasn't strapped initially, but she might run away. So sure, tie her up. But no, there's our rules and there are exceptions.
Do you want us to
is the exception?
Do you want us to bake a file into your cake, or?
Get your spoon so you can tunnel out.
Right. So, but yeah, when they reopen, I mean, they finally, you're right, she goes to town, she buys a book. That's when she started to get obviously, she'd already kind of like flew off the handle a little bit, like some little things there. He kind of started to see some glimpses, But then when she got the book, she's like, "Oh, I got the book," and he's just like, "Oh shit!" Yeah, that's like kind of well, she makes him burn his book. That's the big thing, right? Before she even gets that book, is that right? Yeah, before she gets that.
Well, see,
no,
that's right after she.
That's
reads
right after.
Missouri.
I'm sorry,
but that's where I'm confused, because he just finished this novel.
Mm-hmm. This wasn't Misery related, though. The manuscript that he was finishing up in the hotel, that was his first non-Misery book, because he kills Misery, and this was supposed to be his moving on.
Okay,
so Misery was the book that was Misery was coming out in the stores. That's what his agent was saying.
That's where I was a little confused, because I thought, like, she went to the store and got the book. But for some reason, I was thinking that his new book that was in his attaché
was Misery's child, like, or whatever.
Misery's final chapter where she dies. No. I don't know.
Yeah, that was supposed to be move on. So that's why we burn it, is because she's like, you think you're moving on? No. We're going to jump back into Misery. We're going to bring her back to life. And we're going to beat this like a dead horse, like most of these Hollywood studios do. But let's make sure we don't like the remembrance of the good stuff,
Yeah, I thought maybe he was like, hey, if you want to be the first person to read this new book, like, you can, like, thanks for taking care of me. You're obviously my biggest fan, as you've told me 5,000 times. So if you want to read the end to Misery.
Oh yeah, no, Misery was already done.
Okay,
this was his, what do you call it, his slum kid book, right? To where everybody's using that profanity and stuff, and which I fucking love, because he's like, everybody talks like that. She's like, no, they don't. Do I go to the she's
get that bitchin' cow feed? Yeah, I'll go to cash a check with this bastard of a check.
Here's this big bastard of a check. Give me your Christ and money. Like, what?
And it's so wild to see her so upset about the language.
Yeah.
But in the way that she's doing it is exactly the thing that she is turned off by. I'm like, It's just so funny seeing those parallels between the
Oh,
two.
I loved
where that
seeing
crazy
her
sits.
all fired up, and instead of yelling, "Oh fuck," she's like, "Poop."
Mr. Man.
Like all of her,
You kidder.
all of her little idioms and stuff throughout. I was just cracking up the whole time. She almost gets into the wreck later on in the movie, and she's like, "You chicky doodle," and like runs off, like shakes his fist at her, like, oh.
She did that a couple of times. She leaves the house a couple of times at night, and I kept wondering, where the fuck is she going?
Yeah.
Is she just
She's
going
just
into
terror
town?
driving.
Yeah. Is she going into town fucking like getting blitzed, hooking up with somebody, spending the night? Because each time she doesn't come home until like the next day. It's always like the next day when she comes home, Well,
Or she's rolling around out in the barn with misery.
I don't know, because she like hops in that truck and just takes off in the dead of night and then doesn't come back until the morning when he's laying on the fucking ground. She lifts him. Oh, what are you doing on the ground? And shit like that.
Dude, seeing her with her pig, you talk about her exits, Steve.
Oh,
like the exit where she introduces misery and then she's like, just the fucking pig noises. That was some of the brilliance of her acting. Like, she was in it. She was dedicated. I watched it twice. I had to. I died laughing at her.
I did too. I fucking loved her when she was doing that, just like, and then like turned around and started snorting at him too. It was just like, oh my god, that's so fucking funny.
It made me wonder if she
but-
did like the Jim Carrey like method acting where you never break character the entire time you're doing the role.
Psycho the whole time. Annie forces Paul to burn the only copy of his new manuscript. She also provides a second-hand typewriter and orders him to begin writing a new novel titled Misery's Return, in which he brings the character back to life. Paul uses a bobby pin to unlock his door and leave his room. He begins stockpiling his painkillers and tries drugging Annie during dinner with crushed painkillers. But his plan is foiled when she accidentally knocks over her glass. He later finds a scrapbook of newspaper clippings about Annie's past and learns Annie was tried for the death of several infants in the hospital where she worked. But the trial collapsed due to a lack of evidence. Annie had quoted lines from his misery novels during her trial. Annie soon discovers that Paul has been sneaking out of his room and breaks his ankle with a sledgehammer to prevent him from escaping.
Right now, was she so religious? Do you think she was super religious?
Oh yeah.
Or
I think that she worshipped either Paul or Misery because you saw the shrine in her house. I don't think it was a god. I think she was the god, and
No, I mean
she's a
she's
little
wearing
loony.
she's wearing the turtleneck almost the entire time with the cross. I think she was like super religious, and I don't necessarily actually. She may not be super religious. I want to say she's actually like schizophrenic, because she's hearing these voices in her head. She, like, I talked to God. God told me that you have to have a fresh start. I automatically went to thinking, like, whenever you see the scrapbook of all these, infants that are dying, that, God was telling her that these children weren't allowed to live, so she was killing the babies. And
that's what I was interested, like, what was the backstory of that? Because I rewatched the scrapbook scene. She killed her husband. She killed the nurse that was ahead of her so that she could be, like, top in her class. I think she killed a boss, and then she killed several babies. So I'm like, this lady's fucking slave. So Buster's either really bad at his job, or she moved in post a lot of these murders, because I like to think that, because I think Buster's pretty good at, he saw that broken tree out of all of them when he's looking with his girl.
I
knew
think
something bad
I
happened.
think Buster's good at his job, even though he doesn't get to do it a lot. But I think he's just really good at his job. And she found a place that was in the middle of nowhere where nobody knows what her story is.
Well, I guess, when Buster visits, he barely even knows where her property is. So,
I mean,
yeah,
he
that
has
makes
to.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, because she says that, like, the people in Denver, like the courts in Denver or whatever it was, so she was doing all that shit in Denver, where her husband was an investment banker or something like that, and everything else. So that was all in the big city. So then she fucking like ups and moves and buys this farm.
Takes all that money and...
Yeah, yeah.
She gets that insurance money and runs. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking it's got to be like some schizophrenia where she believes that she's talking to God, but in reality, she's just fucking nuts. And that's why all of these murders are happening.
I was just gonna talk about. So we get to the point where he's like stockpiling pills and stuff like that, and she's got a bunch. Like when he finds her like little medical closet or whatever, that must just be a trending thing. Do doctors, nurses, everything? Do they just steal shit from hospitals? I'm not gonna rat out my mother, but old girl's got some stockpile stuff too.
Well, but it ain't. But what she does have is not prescription fucking drugs like that.
Yeah.
Like this chick, she's got all this fucking prescription shit. Like whatever.
Have y'all heard
it
of
was.
Novril?
I've never heard of it. No.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't know if it was made up for the movie or
I don't know, it
like
may
a
be
well-known
real, but yeah.
painkiller.
But no, it was like, but she has just like fucking tons of it. It's like, where did she get all that shit from? It's like, who, why does she have all that stuff? And did she just fucking steal it from the hospital back in,
Yeah, she hasn't been a nurse for a long time. Because obviously, I don't think she's going to be able to get a job. But, like, is she just stockpiling IVs and stockpiling pills and shit like that? Like, were expiration dates on medication and stuff like that not known in 1990?
Who follows that shit anyway?
I mean,
I
was a
bought it.
baby.
I'm going
I
to
know.
use it.
I took a Zyrtec the other day that expired in 2013, and it worked perfectly fine.
Right? I remember in college, I'm
how
like,
do
I'm
you
going to buy
know it was a Zyrtec? You don't know what those things fucking work anyway.
Well, I was in South Carolina and I was having allergies and I took one and I felt better. It could have been of the placebo effect. I'll give you that. I didn't have any symptoms afterwards, damn it.
But we get to the point where she stockpiled these pills. We're sitting at a lovely dinner. And I thought it was funny as hell. Like, they're toasting to Misery. She ends up knocking over the glass. One of those, like, when he toasted to Misery, it was no longer Misery the character. It was,
it was like,
that was my one shot.
I'm in misery.
Yeah.
Like, you could feel it. I don't have another plan. That was
Did
my
she
plan.
do that on purpose?
I don't think so. I think that was just unlucky because she wouldn't have seen that coming. Or I think she would have stopped it prior to that if she saw it coming,
Yeah.
I don't. Well, here's what I want to know is, like, obviously he's been out, and the first time he goes out and about, he knocks the penguin over.
Yeah.
And it takes her that long to notice that the penguin is knocked over.
Well, she says she knew he got out twice, so it makes me want to think that she noticed it, let it slide a bit, and then the second time she's like, all right, no. Now we're cracking the whip, Yeah. Kind of giving him a mulligan,
So here's my thing, right? The first time that he escaped, the first time he got out, she's gone, right? That's when she went to go get the papers, right?
Yeah.
And he got out. And so she's fucking out. Why at that time did he not, it seemed like he was just trying to escape out the back door instead of finding something to ambush her ass with. Right? It's like at that moment, that's when you want to like find something. I would think like I would be finding something like, okay, where's a baseball bat? Something I could swing at her ass,
or a fork. She's not going to notice a fork missing. Just
something to like
scissors.
Yeah, right. Anything to like that I'm going to use to. Now I'm going to ambush her when she comes back or whatever. Or I'm gonna hide by the door. Because she's gonna open the door and I'm gonna like, then come out. I don't know, So it was like, but he was such a fucking panicked in a hurry to get back to that room when I was like, dude, wait, just fucking like find something to beat her ass with, I don't know.
I'm gonna blame it on drugs.
I almost started thinking like yeah, he's obviously afraid. He's pretty immobilized, but at the same time, it's like, does he have a little sign of like Stockholm syndrome or something that's like not letting him clearly think of like, I gotta get the fuck out of here in any means possible?
I honestly don't think he had that at all. I think he was just, when he heard that truck, he was like, oh shit, I'm scared. Right? I'm fucking afraid of her and I got to get back to this room because she's going to fucking do something to me. Because she'd already slammed the book on it, or that big ream of paper on his legs, his damaged legs and shit. She'd already slammed that down.
Because it's the most expensive kind.
Is there anything else I can get for you, Mr. Man?
Mr. Man.
God. Her blue day.
Yeah, her sad day. She has the gun, and then all of a sudden she leaves again, goes off into town, does her thing, whatever, comes back. He sees her like, oh, she's gonna come in, but then she doesn't. And then that next morning, right, that's when she fucking comes in and like gives him the shot, and then fucking.
I will say that's like the
knew.
one of the two scenes where you actually kind of like jump a little bit because it's just like, oh, good morning, and he like wakes up and opens his eyes, and she's like, boom, right there, and she, like just jabs his ass.
Jump scare was real, and like that blue scene at first, it was kind of like of a scene for me, but like her acting in that, like you totally could see it on Paul's face. He knew next chance I get, I have to get a knife. You know, as y'all say, like he finally knew, okay, we're not screwing around here. I need the knife. And that's when she comes. No, JJ, last week when we picked this movie, I remember you saying, wait, is this the movie where he gets the ankles broken? And, you know, obviously the most memorable scene here. What was your reactions watching this?
I mean, I was waiting for it the whole movie. Because I was like, I've seen that before, but I didn't know when it was gonna happen, and so I was like, man, it's got to be happening like pretty damn soon. And like as soon as he like woke up and you could see like the strap across his like chest, I was like, oh shit, here we go. And I mean, you look and that 4x4 is like right there, and he's just like, whatever you're gonna do, like don't do it. Like he is too calm. He is way too calm. Man. I'm going to be flipping the fuck. I don't care if both of my legs are broken still, and now they're about to be more broken. No, I am going to be flipping shit.
I think she was so calm with it, too, so he wasn't really sure what to expect, because she was like just kind of like in the middle of telling that story, and so he was like, okay, I'm strapped down here. I'm trying to reach for my knife. I know this knife is down here somewhere, maybe. And she's just like, oh, is this what you're looking for? Blah, blah, blah. And then so she's like going into the story about the mine and stuff. And then he's like, I don't think he quite knew what she was going to do until she picked up the fucking sledgehammer. Why?
With those words of like, don't worry, it'll be over quick. I love you.
I love
and
you.
Like they showed you just enough too, like, to the point where the special effects didn't ruin it, but you saw the ankle turn and they cut away, and oh my god!
Yeah, no, I
got a mom that's done something similar to that. It was just,
I just straight up was just like, like I couldn't look away, but I was like appalled by it. But lesson number 1: don't ever just grab the big knife. That's the most noticeable knife ever. You always grab the smaller knife. Getting stabbed is gonna hurt.
A butter knife would have cut through something.
a spork.
A spork. Something. That's right. We already talked about the sport people who need to fucking.
Yeah. But like, let that be a lesson to all of our listeners. If you're ever in this situation,
stick your dick in crazy. Oh, sorry.
Well,
wrong one. Wrong one.
Rule number 1. Rule number 2: don't grab the big knife.
Medium knife.
Always go for it's still gonna hurt. It'll still take care and do the job. Smaller knife, less noticeable. You're good to go.
So in the book, I don't know if you know this, right? In the book,
I don't know how to read.
In the book, she actually cuts his leg or cuts his his foot off, and then cauterizes it with like a blowtorch. Right.
Oh, get some saw action going on here.
Which one you guys taking? Taking the cut off or the broken?
Broken.
Yeah, 100% broken.
Really?
So, because obviously you can heal, you can fix the broken.
I'd rather walk around with a limp for the rest of my life.
Your mom. Right. So she's been hobbled, but she's okay. She can walk, but
I never want to stay at your house.
Roller derby fucked her up, man. She was up on a skate and just rolled her ankle, but you can't roll an ankle in skate, so it just it was hobbled.
Your mom
she
did
was
roller derby?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No shit.
Alyssa was scared shitless to meet her when she was doing roller derby.
She is such a small, sweet woman.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to think that.
I'm sorry. Almost if
the
I was
naivety
drinking,
of that.
if I was drinking, I would have done a spit take.
She's been so nice to me every time I've talked to her or met her. And like even on the
why don't you
phone
leave your
randomly.
socks in the living room and see what happens?
I mean, that's what people say about my mom. Like,
But to answer that question, so interestingly, like there were a lot of people. That scene was such a, I guess, just a hot fucking just a hot topic. They lost a director because of it. So Rob Reiner hired this other director to do the movie, and he quit because of this scene, right? They wanted to even to do it. And then a lot of other actors wouldn't do the scene either because they didn't want it. And, it was fucking crazy, because they were like, oh, we're not gonna do that scene. We're not gonna do that scene. I don't want to do that scene. So there was like a fucking whole list of other actors before James Caan. And then a lot of other actresses like refused to do the movie also because of how crazy fucking Annie Wilkes was.
So would you compare this? My mom has always told me the story that when The Exorcist came out into theaters, they handed out barf bags to everybody. That's what my mom has told me. And so, like, I understand, like, back in the day, like, you're not used to this. Like, I think movies were, kind of more of a happy-go-lucky kind of thing. And then you introduce these, this darker drama with Annie, and you introduce the darker drama with, like, The Exorcist. Like, were those just complete 100% out of the norm things for Hollywood at the time?
Yes. Yeah. Stuff like this, like the Saw movies or shit like that. Ain't no fucking way, man. I mean, this was like, there were some horror movies obviously out. There were, even before then, not Walking Dead, but like the Night of the Zombies or shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And a bunch of other different type stuff. But this as being a mainstream movie in the fucking theaters, that's kind of
more of a psychological thriller than like an unreal monster kind of
exactly. Like this is real people, not fucking like just
Freddy
a made
and
up
Jason.
Right, not just a made up fucking stuff, right? This is real people doing shit like this. And so that was that to me, honestly, that's the scarier shit to me, right?
Yeah.
Something that a real person could do to another real person as opposed to fucking some undead monster or whatever, so
yeah, that's my beef with the horror genre. Is it's hard for me to get into that when I know the realisticness of it is so far stretched out. Whereas this shit that probably does happen.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say before we move on is, like, right after she gets hobbled and she's outside playing with Misery the pig and looks in, hey, pumpkin! You just get that middle finger from him. Oh my god!
Always joking.
Like his
You
face
kidder! You're such a kidder.
Oh, dude, James Caan was killing it right there. Absolutely killing it.
I thought she was. Kathy Bates, she was just like, burr, 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 burr. Come on, Mizzy, let's roll, and just played, you kidder. Oh, gosh. That was so fucking funny, man. I fucking dug her.
What's it for?
Let's do it.
Buster's persistence leads him to reading the Misery books to get a better look into the case. Clues lead him to pay Annie a visit, but she fatally shoots him when he finds Paul drugged in the basement. She then attempts to kill Paul in a murder-suicide, but Paul, concealing a can of lighter fluid in his pocket, convinces her to let him live long enough to finish the novel in order to give Misery back to the world. When the manuscript is done, Paul asks for a cigarette and champagne, and Annie complies. However, in her horror, Paul uses the lighter to set the manuscript on fire, telling her, I learned it from you. Paul then strikes Annie with the typewriter, and they engage in a violent struggle, with Paul suffering a gunshot wound to the shoulder. He trips her, causes her to strike her head on the typewriter, then crawls out of the room, but Annie recovers and attacks again. Paul grabs a metal doorstop and bashes Annie in the face, finally killing her.
Buster's persistence. Here's my question. So, Buster decides, okay, I'm going to start reading all these Misery novels, and there's obviously fucking, I don't know, because if you see the Misery shrine in her house, there's like fucking 15 Misery novels. I don't even know how to
of each one. He's only written 8.
Maybe. Did he write 8?
Yeah, he wrote 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but there was more than 8 books up there.
Yeah. So Buster's reading all these fucking novels, and he writes down one particular quote, right? That one particular quote out of it of the whole fucking whatever it is, right? The I will be judged by, there's a higher power or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, which leads him now, did he remember her saying that quote in a Denver newspaper? Did he read that as a caption of a picture fucking years ago and remember that after reading? How did he put that shit together? Because that's just not like very fucking common, right?
Yeah, that one was.
Of all the fucking stretches that you're gonna make in a movie,
I feel like he didn't even need that. He could have just walked into a store at that point and said, "Wait, that girl buys a bunch of Misery novels." I feel like that's enough just to go check it out. That he she's reserving all this kind of stuff,
But I think it's also like to the extent of he sees her almost get into that car wreck, and she's you cocky doodle. Like yells and all this shit, and like you can see the look on his face, and he's like, "She's an odd duck. Like something's wrong with this girl." Like you just have that intuition about people. You see somebody walking through Walmart, a lot of people walking through Walmart, and you're like, "What the fuck are they thinking?" Kind of deal.
Might have been a little much, but you know what? Any excuse to get Buster on screen, I was down for it. I tried not to.
Yeah,
mess
I
with
mean,
it too
like,
much,
like going back to his devotion though, he like storms into the police station. Virginia's on the phone, be like, "Well, I don't know if he has a mistress or not, but let me ask him." He just walked in, and then, he talks to that guy. He's like, "Well, why would you put benches in front of your store if you didn't want people to sit on them?" Well, I know, Joel, I don't like him either, but I'm not going to come around and tell him to move. And then she's like, then Virginia pops off, "Well, I don't know who your mistress is, but I hope she likes to read those Paul Schaefer novels." And
I did love his comeback about the, well, honey, I'm impressed that you think I have that much energy. It's just like, that's fucking beautiful.
But I mean,
his persistence, I get it. I get his fucking persistence, and he shows up at her house. I did enjoy their back and forth when like the back and forth of the doorway, like ha ha ha, huh, ha ha ha. So
it's like so she's openly being suspicious. He's asked to look around, but he's going to be suspicious about where he looks around.
Right.
Funny, like I don't know. Was it this casual? You just had sheriff walk through your house, check the shit out. I mean, I get.
I mean,
you don't want to look suspicious and say no.
He was like,
well,
hey,
she invited him in.
He was like, "You mind if I have a look around?" And she's like, "Yeah, come on. Do you want some cocoa?" And he was 100% like, "Fuck no on the cocoa.
I'm not drinking from crazy.
Do not want any of that." And yeah, he's gonna start poking around. I did think it was a little weird that even though she invited him in, that he was just like, "She's going to the kitchen to get some cocoa. I'm just going to head upstairs and,
I'm going to sneak upstairs and fucking try to figure out,
on that creaking ass stairway.
We're in this 1900s house made of, like, all wood and everything. Everything you touch just creaks, and she's not going to hear it at all.
When he finally gets alerted, though, to Paul down in the basement knocking over the grill, that hole that gets blown through Buster.
Dude, I was so pumped at that point. I was like, "Fuck yeah, Paul's getting out of there! Like, this is great!" And then he's just standing there and just hole. And I was like, "Oh shit!"
Like, it was so graphic seeing the hole in Buster. I was waiting for like the blood to like paint Paul's body, like just laying there in the blast zone of it. Just something out of what is it? Carrie? Wasn't that a Stephen King movie too?
Well, yeah. Okay, here's what I want to know: is like it like pans over down to the stairs down to where Paul's at, and there's like not even blood on the fucking wall. Like, come on, guys, let's get original here. Let's paint this fucking stairwell.
This was a low budget film here, all right.
Fuck it, get a couple bottles of ketchup and just squirt them around.
But this brings us to the fight scene, and you've got a 5'3", we went over that, smaller woman. And then you've got this cripple coming at her, and it doesn't seem to hold off those fighting skills. Oh, and that's going to take us to a segment. Whoa!
What?
All right, so we've got our Coach Steve segment here. Coach Steve, we need you to break down how did this fight go down. First, we had a little struggle back and forth, but it led to this tackle, and I need you to break down this tackle here. So everybody, hop on Spotify, check us out there, or if you're on YouTube watching this show, we're going to show a bit of this tackle. Steve, walk us through it.
Well, folks, look what you see right here. So you see this gentleman, he's coming out from a crouched position from the chair. And now, when he hits her, you see the head down, off to the side, head down, off to the side. That's the proper type of hitting method that you want. Now, his chances, his head should be up, but we'll forgive him for this. This is the early 90s, right? So the head's down, but it should be up in order to prevent some of that. But you see that angle, that proper line hitting with the shoulder, head off to the side, all right? And how key that is. You see the form tackle, ladies and gentlemen. When somebody is right there in front of you, standing, and you come at them, form tackle, you see what happens here. Please, Brian, show that again.
Oh, he drives through. He drives through the tackle. Look at that.
That's right. You want to drive through drive through the tackle. You're not hitting at that moment. You're hitting 2 feet behind them, right? You're going to push through to make them go down. That's what it's all about here. This was I would say, being hobbled, having bad legs, and coming from a wheelchair sitting position, he didn't do a very bad job with this. So I thought he did a very good job. He was on his money, and I think he accomplished his goal of taking her to the ground.
So, Steve, what we're looking at here, obviously, college
I'm
ball
sorry,
player.
Brian, that was actually Coach Steve.
My apologies. Coach Steve here.
If you start wearing a fucking whistle, I'm done.
We're going to give him a hat or a visor, I'm sorry. But Coach Steve here, the most impressive part is, defensive lineman yourself. You're usually in a 3-4 point stance here. Yes. This guy's got nothing to drive in. He's having to build that speed from the wheel, but he's still getting that plant. Like you said, he's driving through her. It was just, Let's watch it one more last time.
You can see.
Blasted.
And what you do see too is he wasn't just pushing off of one foot, he plants both feet and is able to lunge at that. Now, in the current modern days, that would probably be a spearing because you're targeting somebody directly, lunging at them. But in the 1990s, this was perfectly legitimate, Brian, and I think that it was absolutely fair in this instance.
Now, I could be wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and state this. I think it is a fact that they actually invented the neck collar that you saw a lot of linebackers wearing from this movie.
JJ, I believe that is actually accurate. We'll have to go back. Alyssa, you want to check that out for us? Yeah, but it looks like, JJ, that is factually accurate.
I mean, I would believe it. I think that is a great question. I think I saw it on Jeopardy. So
this being a documentary and all, of course, everything's gonna be factually correct.
If I'm wrong, then we can blame Jeopardy.
That's an anal bum cover.
An anal bum cover.
Yes. Well, everybody, we always love when we get Coach Steve in here. Thank you, Coach Steve, for bringing us home.
Yes, sir. It was my pleasure, Brian. Thank you.
All right, let's put the whistle away and get back to this movie.
I want to do like a learning with JJ segment, or something like that too. Is our other?
We'll do Jeopardy with JJ.
Jeopardy with JJ,
just because it's obviously fucking retarded.
JJ, you're gonna have to bring us false facts left and right. For
hey, I could gladly help out with that.
Jeopardy with JJ. Oh fuck.
But this fight went on way longer than I thought. Like, she hits her head, she goes $1 Million Baby style on the typewriter, and then she still rolls over to kick his ass. Like, oh.
So what about him fucking threatening to fucking burn up Misery? Burn up Misery's return. She wasn't gonna fucking have any of that. She was losing her shit about that, right?
It's like, you want to know about this? You want to know about that? And just drops it. 18 months later, Paul, now walking with a cane, meets his agent in a restaurant in New York City. The two discuss his first post-Misery novel, and Marcy tells him about the positive early buzz. Paul replies that he wrote the novel for himself as a way to help deal with the horrors of his captivity. She asks if he would ever consider a nonfiction book about his captivity, but Paul, who suffered psychological trauma from the experience, declines. He then sees a waitress approaching him, who he hallucinates as Annie, commenting that he still sees her face once in a while. The waitress tells Paul that she's his #1 fan, causing Paul to meekly reply, "It's very sweet of you."
What? So, okay. Now, she made him burn his book. So do you think he wrote the same book?
I think it's something different. I'd like to think so.
It has to be something different. I mean, yeah, he knows what he wrote in his head. Maybe not to like every exact word or detail,
Sure.
but it's now his way of thinking has to have drastically changed. To where
Well, he said that like she helped him in some strange way. Helped him. I don't know how.
What was
How
the
would
title
she
of
have-
the new book?
I don't think it said.
Yeah, it
I think
did.
it was just his new major.
It showed the cover.
Oh, it was like the new world or new everything or something along that route. That's right.
Yeah, and it was like I can't remember what it said, but it was like, man, this is like a whole new light that he's seeing life in, almost. Because like it had to have been because of the experience of being held captive, you know.
Which is interesting because that's what I was curious about. Like, yeah. So like, how did she help him? I wanted to know because he said that, right? How did she? But I don't know. I don't fucking get it. I don't know.
Pushed him out of his rut, moved him past misery, you know?
But that part was fucking pretty freaky though. Like at the end, he's sitting there fucking. He's like, "Yeah, I think about her every now and then." And he sees this chick is walking to him.
Yeah,
with the knife.
My whole time I was like, shit. You know, she's dead. I was like sitting there going in my head. I couldn't remember if she was actually dead or not because, Misery 2, give it to me. No,
so we didn't really talk about her because he kills her with the pig door stopper, which is awesome.
Right? He takes Misery to the face. Or she does. Just annihilates her.
You're right. That whole fight scene took way too long, but I was glad he fucking like crushed her with the fucking pig door stopper, which was awesome.
She just like lays on top.
Right.
I wish like the only thing that would have made it better is if he would have like ended it with like a
here's your misery, you know. Yeah, because he didn't say any cool lines. Say something cool. Right?
He made himself a BLT while he waited for the authorities to show up. He grabbed Misery and slaughtered her there.
Which is something. It didn't really say how he escaped either, right? He just did he just lay around there? Did he get into her car? Did he drive into town? What the fuck happened? I don't know.
Buster's Randy wife started looking for Buster. Hey, where's my boy? I need to...
See, I tell you what. If anybody that I feel sorry for in the movie, it's Virginia. Because now she didn't fucking have Buster. What is she going to do? Is she going to hook up with Libby, the dude at Silver Creek?
She's going to find herself a slump buster. You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ.
Old people need loving too, Steve.
I know. I'm just saying. I felt bad for her because it didn't show her distraughtness either. You know, it was just like, you know, like, is she going to go on living? Because I've heard the old people fucking like die after their spouses die right away. You know, is she going to fucking like, I got no reason to live and end it all? I don't know.
Nah, she's got enough stamina. She's going to keep going for a little bit longer.
She's, yes. JJ, are you all right? Are you?
Yeah,
are you
I'm trying to like find the name of that book.
I didn't know if you like fucking fell asleep or not. I was just worried about you.
Sorry, I'm still listening and I'm involved in the conversation, but I'm trying to find the fucking.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where we head to our slice score. You might say, Brian, how do you keep track of all these great movie night movies? Well, listener, we got you covered here. We're going to bust out our too much meter, and we're going to bust it. We do it on a pizza slice here.
I believe it's listeners. We have more than
maybe
one
not for
listener.
this one.
You're muted, Steve.
Yeah, it may just be one. We don't know.
Oh yeah,
listener. Thank you, listener, for what you do. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
You're our biggest fan.
But we do our slice scale on a 0 to 8 scale. A 0 slice movie, it's gonna be dog shit. It's gonna be being hobbled, having your legs cracked open over a 4x4 board. And an 8 slice movie, you know what? It's building a franchise. Building a franchise on books on this girl named Misery, and riding it to the top. Well, then let me start it off here.
What?
My movie, my breakdown. Here we go. This is gonna be short and sweet because it. All right, guys, we're gonna blow it up. Put the camera on me here. I need everybody right up close. for these slice scores. So this movie, it is, like I said, this was my intro to the thriller genre. This is what kicked off my love for many a M. Night movie, many a suspense movie. I love Kathy Bates in this. Steve, you talked about how they went through several actors trying to find who would line up this. James Caan and Kathy Bates just knocked it out of the park. Absolutely phenomenal. There wasn't a lot going on in this movie, but it was just enough. We had fun side characters like, you know, they usually get a lot of love on this podcast, those side characters. But I had a blast with this movie. This is one that I do watch often, and now I think Alyssa's fallen in love with it as well. So I think we'll see it often. This movie's enjoyable. I think this will be a regular movie night movie for me, and I'm gonna give it a solid 6.5 slices.
Wow.
I just noticed the fucking lettering in the background.
Oh, the Mr. Man and that bitch and cow feed. Just some of the favorites there.
I just now saw that. Oh my god. That's great.
I'll go next. Cool. So now I can point at both of y'all, bitches. So Brian, I agree with you. Awesome movie. Awesome movie. Kathy Bates is phenomenal. James Caan, fine. I found him, I thought anybody could have played this part, but he did a great job. His picture on the back of the book fucking just totally fucking cracked me up more than anything else. I couldn't get over that. I was like, every time they fucking showed it, I was just like, huh? You're just like mouth open, fucking, but freaky, trippy movie, crazy shit. It's a movie that I love. I will watch again. I will continue to watch. I'll watch it any other time, and I'll watch this forever. And this is a 6 slicer for me, totally, every day.
Slices every day,
all day long.
I love it. JJ, what's that slice score?
So I mean, I think this was just an all-star cast. Like, everybody did great. For my first time watching this movie, I knew what to expect because I knew the storyline, but I didn't know all the small little details, all the little things that happen in this movie, and I didn't know the conversation between the two, Annie and Paul that happened the whole time, and I didn't know Buster. So, I mean, that's automatically jumping up 3 slices right there. Just Buster himself. That's my dream guy right there. Like, I'm a go-to Buster deep down. I want to be him when I grow up. But there were some small little details in there that I just didn't, if I were in Paul's shoes, I would have seen the red flags. Hopefully seen the red flags beforehand and just done my best to get out of there real quick before I got hobbled. The hobbling scene did make me cringe, but overall this was a damn good movie. It put you on edge while you're watching it. It kept you focused on the screen, not looking at your phone or looking away. Like, you can't turn it off. You got to finish it. And Hallie joined me partway through and was just automatically what the fuck is going on, and sat there and watched quite a bit of it with me. And I think it's a good family night movie. Kids probably aren't going to be invited. I don't have kids, but if I did, they probably wouldn't watch it. But yeah, I'm going to go with a solid 6 on it as well, just because it is 100% a movie that keeps you interested the whole time.
For sure. I like it. So, with that being said, I gave it a 6.5, Steve a 6, and JJ a 6. It's going to give us a 6.17 movie, which that's going to be up there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Misery comes in at 6.17. It's going to be better than Whiplash and Tropic Thunder, but not quite as good as True Romance and Dumb and Dumber. I like where it falls though.
I would rather watch Whiplash and Tropic Thunder, but
that's right in that neighborhood.
I mean, and as per your score though, I mean, probably, I mean, you're right there with it. So yeah, that's fair.
Everything checks out. I love it.
Yeah,
good movie though. Very good movie. I will say I was whenever you put that on the board, you threw it on the wheel, and it got chosen. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, I was a little depressed compared to our other options that were on
Compared to the other options of the 90s movies, yes, but it was a good movie.
But
Definitely was a good movie.
it came out, and like after watching it, like I said, never watched it before. Yeah, very good movie.
I can't believe you've never watched it before. That's amazing.
I'm glad I got to be here for your first time and hold your hand.
That's right. That's right.
I was too
We're gonna
busy.
have
Too busy.
We're gonna
hanging
have
out
a couple
with
of more of
chicks.
those. We're gonna have a couple more of those chicks. When this movie came out in 1990.
Let's see. This premiered in November of 1990. So I was.
What about?
You can find us everywhere: Apple, Spotify. Check us out on YouTube if you want to get more of the video feeds. Great time, guys. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Oh shit.